Baby, today is the day we are about to make some jerk shrimp fettuccine. I don't know about you, but I am hungry and I'm ready to cook. So let's jump into this video so that I can teach y'all a little something. Okay? All right, y'all, let's jump right into it. So, of course, we're going to start off with our boiling water, and we're going to add in some kosher salt. I'm going to be using some fettuccine pasta. Of course, you can use whatever you would like, but for a dish like this, I think it kind of requires a thicker noodle, so that's why I'm choosing to use fettuccine. Do not break your noodles. You want them to be nice and long. You want to cook those to about al dente, and then you're just going to strain them. Do not rinse off your pasta. You want that starch because that'll help the Alfredo sauce later on adhere to the pasta, so don't rinse off the pasta. Just sit it in there. If you think it's going to stick a little bit, you can add a tiny bit of oil to it, but other than that, the pasta's now done. We can set that to the side and let's go ahead and start working on the vegetables. Now, in this particular recipe, y'all know I say this all the time, I'm not a big veggie person, but I am trying to slowly incorporate it more and more in my food, and I'm learning that when I saute them, it kind of brings out the natural sweetness to them, and so it's kind of allowing me to enjoy them a bit more. But just know that I'm only going to be using the one orange pepper, the one red pepper. By all means, if you really want to spread this meal out, you can add way more peppers in this. You can add the red, the orange, yellow. You can also add the green as well. Just know that the green bell pepper has a little bit more of a bite to it, so I would personally stick with the red, yellow, and orange. Now, if you want it to be very, very fine and very thin, you could use a food processor. But to me, because I'm going to be sauteing them, I don't really think they need to be that small because they're going to be nice and soft. That crunch is going to be gone, so it's not going to bother me as much. Now, y'all already know I'm going to be using, this is a nonstick pan. I added in, I would say about a half a tablespoon of some olive oil. You can also use coconut oil if you don't want to use the olive oil. That's completely fine. You're not going to add any seasoning to this. No salt, no pepper, no nothing. I'm going to tell you why a little bit later on. But what we're trying to do right now is just simply brown these off, get a nice little char to them, because once again, that's going to bring out that natural sweetness. I had this on about a medium high. You don't want to burn them. Now, y'all know good and well, I love me some Kerrygold butter. You know, that's just how we do it over here. So I added in, I would say about 1 to 2 tablespoons. You can kind of eye it. You don't have to use Kerrygold butter, but you know, it's just what I prefer. And of course, I always use unsalted butter. Now we're just going to add a little bit of butter to it just to bring out some of the richness to it. And now, of course, we're going to talk about the shrimp. Now, these shrimp were already peeled and deveined. I leave the tail on the shrimp because that keeps them from completely curling up. So that's why I like to leave the tails on them. You don't have to do that. That's completely optional. That's just a preference for me. Now, of course, like I said, this is a jerk pasta. So this particular brand, the Walker's Wood, I use this all the time. It's absolutely fabulous. Now, I'm only going to use about a half a tablespoon because I am preparing this for someone else to be able to eat as well. Just know that if you do decide to use more, it can get very, very spicy. So just be mindful of that while you're doing this, because like I said, a little bit does go a long way. And that was only about a half a tablespoon. Now, I will say, if you would like it to be a bit more saucy, what you could do is you could add in a little bit of chicken broth, not too much. I would say maybe about 3/4 a cup of chicken broth, and add that jerk seasoning in so you could really have like a saucy mix here. But I kind of like mine just like this. I don't want the jerk seasoning to overpower the fettuccine noodles with the Alfredo sauce. I want it to just have a slight bit of the jerk seasoning. You can find that seasoning on Amazon if you can't find it in your store. And just so you know, it does come in like a medium as well. They have the medium and then the extra spicy. Of course, you know, shrimp does not take that long to cook at all. So once you see them, you know, turn that beautiful pink color, go ahead and remove them out of the pot. And then we're going to put them in a separate bowl because you don't want your shrimp to be overcooked. You don't want them to be tough, and you definitely don't want them to burn. So now that they're done, I'm going to transfer them to a separate bowl, and we're just going to set that to the side. And now we can start working on our Alfredo sauce. Now, one little thing you want to do, you see all this gloriousness sitting in the bottom of that pan? Don't wash that out. That's all going to add extra seasoning. Of course, I've just added in about 3.5 to maybe about 4 tablespoons of the Kerrygold butter. I'm going to be using the organic squeezed garlic, which I added in about a tablespoon. You know, if you're a big garlic person, by all means, you can add in more or you can add in less. I wouldn't say omit it completely because it's the flavor profile will be off if you don't have garlic in it. But you could absolutely use fresh garlic if you want. And if you're going to use fresh garlic, I would say use about 3 to 4 cloves of garlic finely minced. Now to that, what we're going to do is we're going to be adding in 1 pint of heavy whipping cream. Now there really is no real substitution for this, not that I know of, because I've just never done it. I've always used heavy whipping cream. So, just going to be honest. Of course, I'm going to be using some Parmesan cheese. Now, of course, to all of those lovely people that like to come on my channel and talk about how much they love to grate their, cheese fresh, by all means, you do what you want to do, okay? But I just want you to know that all them restaurants y'all go to, them people are not shredding the cheese by hand, okay? I just want y'all to understand that. Because, we got some bougie people talking about how they like to shred their own cheeses, honey. Well, you go right on ahead. You shred it all you want. I'm going to keep right on using what I've been using. Now, what I did was I added in roughly about 1.5 to 2 cups of that cheese. Now, at this point in stage, you want to be very, very careful. I have this on about a low medium. Until that cheese is melted, I really want to keep it on a very low temperature. You don't want this to burn. I'm going to start adding in some black pepper. We're going to start adding in, just a little bit of seasoning just to bring it up to taste, but be mindful of the salt. Cheese is very, very salty, especially Parmesan cheese. So just keep that in mind. Taste it as you go. I'm going to be using pink Himalayan salt. And like I said, this is one of those things where you need to taste it. Everybody's salt intake is completely different. As you can see now, it's really starting to thicken up. But like I said, I have the temperature very controlled. You don't want this to cook too fast or it will burn and then it's going to leave a bitter taste. Better keep it on low and steady and just let it do its thing. It'll get thick on its own. Now, this is about the consistency that I like it. It might seem like it's too loose and too runny, but it's actually not. Once you add the pasta to it, it's actually going to be the perfect consistency. You don't want it way too thick. Once it comes up to a simmer like that, you can go ahead and turn it off. It's completely done. Now, I'm transferring this to a bigger pot just because I needed more space. So I like to actually add my pasta in little by little because I don't want to run out of sauce. So I like to add all of the sauce to a little bit of the noodles and then just add the noodles in as I go should I need more. You know what I'm saying? You don't want your pasta to be dry. But as you can see, we've only added in a little bit of that pasta and it's already starting to thicken up. That's the reason why I said, keep an eye on the consistency of that sauce. You don't want it too thick because this right here is about the perfect consistency. Now, if you want to add some lemon juice, you absolutely can. Add yourself some fresh flat leaf Italian parsley. That's completely fine as well. I'm going to add in just a little bit more pasta, not too much, because once again, I don't want this to be dry. But this is pretty much about the perfect amount of pasta to my liking. Like I said, I want it to be saucy, but I don't want it to be soupy. But I also don't want it to be dry. You know what I mean? So it's kind of finding that that happy medium. Now, mind you, at this point, I don't have the stovetop on at all. I don't have the stovetop on at all. I'm sorry. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm pretty much just adding it all on the top just so that you guys can see it. But for presentational purposes, or to really build in the flavor, what I would do is I would mix it all together. That way you can really get that jerk seasoning mixed throughout the entire dish, which is really, really important. But I left it sitting right on the top just so that you guys can see it. Look, you guys, that's it. This is not a hard video to make. This is not a hard recipe to make. Any of you guys can do it. I absolutely believe in you guys. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in today. If you guys have any questions or any concerns or any recipes that you guys would like me to try, make sure you check out my website at www.SimplyFoodByTy.com. Become a member. Doesn't cost you a dime. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you want me to try to make, and I'll try to get that done for you. Look, if you guys are new to my channel, welcome once again. And as always, y'all babies, stay cute and take care. Bye, guys.
Slaying in the kitchen.
Simply Food by TY.
We hope that you enjoyed it.
Simply Food by TY. If you haven't took the time, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Simply Food.